All right, we're in the City Outskirts tournament. We're in Tuesday's qualifying round in the rookie division. What do we got here? What do we have? Let's see. All right. Hold on one second. Hold on. I just started the video, damn it. All right, I had to find pictures. See? It only took you a millisecond to hang on. Look at that. All right. I'm in my 77 account, but I've been being able to match up with Dunner in my odd account. So I was trying to get a hold of him here just a little bit ago, so maybe he'll call me, but I'm going to practice in my 77 account. I'm going to actually go for it. We'll see if we can. There's a few of them. I'm gonna see if I can get up close to it. This is one of those holes that if you're not up close and you're just dribbling onto the green, you're screwed. If you're back here on the backside, you're screwed. You're down here low. It is a long. This is a massive green where you can't make it. And I've seen several people go off the backside. It's super easy to go off the backside. In my opinion, if you're just trying to get the eagle and because it can be a little inconsistent rolling on here, especially with variable wind, just getting to right here, doing a rough bump and just bleeding out and having this chip. It's not a gimme chip, but that chip is pretty consistent. That's probably the best way to go. We'll see. I'm gonna go for it. Why not? Let's see which way the wind's blowing first. Let's see which way the wind's blowing. Wind's blowing with us. I'm going to take a Titan. And I think if you actually brought out, there's a spot out here where if you're, let's look at that. So when you're on this pad and you're coming over to the other side, it's one of those things where if you're trying to do the rough bump and it's too far forward, you pull it back and then the ball guide will respond accordingly, but it won't because of the undulations that are on this area right here. So what happens is you pull it back and then it flattens it out and it changes the second bounce dramatically. And so if you're a little bit farther forward, you would think, wow, it's going to push me forward into this, but it does some weird stuff. And with pure tailwind, we're going to get a really good idea because it will push the ball forward a little bit more than you think, and it's very easy to end up missing this or hitting it too close up where you get too much speed and end up bleeding onto the green. And you'll just barely bleed onto the green. So it can be a little bit tricky. I think this is probably going to be an easier shot if we've got some kind of side wind, almost a pure side wind. But when we're dealing with headwind and tailwind, if this hole is anything like a lot of the holes that we play now where true headwind and true tailwind massively affect our ball, it could be a little bit tricky. We will see. We will find out the hard way. I'm going to take my number 1 bag just because it has better ball guide. All right, but if you bring out, I think if you bring out, if you've got better clubs, if you bring out a 4-power ball, you're farther up towards the front and your second bounce is more consistent. You can move it around a little bit and that second bounce is a little bit more consistent. Maybe. We'll see. We shall find out. Let's see what my opponent's doing. And that wind's not pure tailwind. We got a little bit of side. There you go. A little better. So it should push it over somewhere around the edge of the red ring. Pretty close. That'll put them right back out in the middle of the fairway, and then they hit it to the right on top of that. And that is what we call no bueno. OB. All right. Better hope I make it, dude. Let's hope I make it. You can see how if you just move it around a little bit, how it changes. It's bad. That should be 2 rings, but I'm going to do a little bit more. Hitting it perfect. We'll see if I can get, I'm trying to see if I can get a run towards it like what, or if that's just going to bleed me out and put me on the edge. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. This is actually, I think, we could go for this. I don't think of this hole as being a, you can get a hole in one here. I'm not saying you can't, but I don't think of this hole as like one of the ones. There is one in this tournament that is definitely worth going for the hole in one on. But on this hole, what we need is an eagle. And from the spot that I'm at, that's a pretty good opportunity for an eagle. That looks like it's going to be way long. Luckily, they stayed on the fairway. You can see how much slope there is on this green. Now, the last few times we played it, the slope hasn't played that big of a factor. Now, it should push it. I'm going to do one ring. I'm going to see where that puts me. I'm trying to do some, a lot of times with these types of shots, I'll just eyeball it. Hey. But I'm trying to see if I did ring adjustments where I put it to make sure, to kind of double check my eyeball adjustments. Come on, in the hole. In the hole. And neither wind nor slope really had any effect on that. And I saved them. Saved them. All right, that was hole number one. Hole number one's in the bag. Hole number two. All right, let's check out hole number two so I can remember what the holes are. Since as soon as I get on them, I remember how to play them, but I do not remember anything. All right. All right. I'm going to go, because we're in the original pin placement, I'm going to go over here, and my goal is to get right in this part of these shadows, kind of in between the shadows. You can get farther forward, but this spot right here is fine. Fine. Just fine. And I don't think I'm at max club, so let me look at my, let's make sure I've got notes here. All right, I do. I'm taking basically the same stuff I already have. Extra mile. If I can ever get my Apocalypse to level 7, it will really kind of take over. At that point, it's got more distance, better ball guide, has all the juice. Now, I like to give myself 2 rings of separation from any transitional surface. And so, let's see where that goes. I think I need just a titch more. Hey. I'm going to give myself 2 rings of separation. 3, 4. It's a little over a ring and a half. I'm going to put some curl on it to bring it back to the center of the fairway. Hitting it perfect. Just trying to get up there to the front of that shadow. Left a little bit. I wanted to be up here by this next shadow, in between the next, there's 3 shadows here. I wanted to be right in front of that next one. So a little teeny bit short, so maybe 5 topspin. And I could have used just a titch more curl. Now you're asking yourself, well, why didn't you just set it up so that it was going out in the fairway? Because on my first bounce, I would have been 1 ring off. And so in a perfect world, it wouldn't have mattered. But if you hit a great to the left or the right there, especially if you hit a great to the right, or excuse me, the left, then bam, you're in the rough right here, and now you're behind those trees. Now you're in big, big trouble. So I want to give myself enough room to make it. If I end up hitting a great to the right, it will end up in the rough on the other side. There's a chance that it might bleed through, But you can see from where my opponent, this is perfect because my opponent is having to deal with the trees. Now they might be able to get in between them, but it is unlikely. Okay, Kingfisher. There's max. There's min. So there's mid. So I'm eking towards max, which is 1.1 per ring. So 3.5 divided by 1.1. 3.18 rings. It's 3.18. Hitting it perfect. Get in the hole. Get in the hole. Oh, slightly overpulled it. And I did slightly overpull. I pulled it like 2-2. Just barely overpulled it. I missed my grid. Yeah. It's not that you can't get up there, but now you got to contend with the trees. So now you'll have to use curl. Now there might, and that is not a spot that I would want to have to hit through. Yeah. Now what you do on a situation like this is you set the ball up so that you're on the tree to the right, and then you use curl, and the ball guide does not, curl is not represented in the ball guide. When I get done, I'll go back and I'll show that, because you can recover from that area and you still have a shot at it. It's not the best shot, it's not the greatest shot in the world, but you still got a shot. Ball guide is not represented, does not represent curl. So if you're going to put curl on it, you could line that shot up. You know you're going to put curl on it, but your ball guide's like, hey dude, that shot's not going to work, you're going to hit the tree. And you're like, yeah, it's going to hit the tree if I hit it straight, but if I use curl, it's going to go around the tree. Because blowfish are round. Those are words to live by right there. Not as good as Party on Wayne, but those are words to live by. All right, let's look at that hole real quick. So if you're in this situation, so like what I was saying is my opponent, where they were out in the rough, this last tree, this tree, not trying to hit over here to this fairway and trying to bring it around because this club didn't have enough curl. So if you aimed, so you could aim along this line right here to do the rough bump. Set it up so that you're doing the rough bump right where that, you know if you're going to do the rough bump on this hole that you want to be a ring away from into the rough. So here's the fairway and here's the rough. You want to be one ring away from it. 2 or 3 topspin, just enough to get you out there. You're trying to recover here. So your ball guide is showing that that shot's not going to work because you're going to hit the tree. But when you put the curl on it, from where my opponent was, it's easy. You wouldn't have to slice it. All you'd have to do is just put the normal curl on it and it's going to go to that spot. Okay, so I know that your ball guide's showing that you're going to hit the tree, but your ball guide doesn't include curl. So you know you're going to go around the tree. But trying to go at it this way, you're lengthening the distance that you have to do curl, so your club doesn't have enough curl. So the best that you could hope for is that you'd land on this. They sliced it and ended up in this area right here, but you could recover from that shot very easily. Get in a hole like this and put yourself in this spot. Like intentionally hit yourself into that spot so that you can see, you can practice that. Anytime your ball guide gets wonky because of trees, don't worry about the trees. Now you have to think curl. Curl's not represented in the ball guide. Hopefully that made sense. Hopefully it made sense. Makes sense to me. All right. Now, I got really risky the other day, and I learned a couple things. First of all, I did get into the area that I was trying to get into here. But from this area, if you're using a Kingfisher for your short iron, and this is short iron range, here's short iron, here's long iron, here's wood. Okay? So short iron, long iron, and wood. So if you're in this range right here, you're going to need more topspin than what a Kingfisher has because it does not have enough. And I was trying to do the rough bump. and it does not have enough topspin to get you up to the cup. So this is a great hole for a Hornet, a runner, something that's got topspin so that you can get up there. But I'm really thinking it's kind of dangerous to get down into this area because you've got to hit the rough right here by the sand in order to bleed out into that area, and this can be a tricky shot. You could get caught up right here. It's not that you can't recover, but the whole idea is to take this shot from the fairway, and you want to be able to do it consistently. If you're going to get up in here, you're really kind of taking the rough bump out of play. Now you just have a straight up shot. But if you want to take the rough bump, I'm thinking it might be overall better to just lay it up right here, because it's no fuss, no muss. We can bring, if you got lower developed stuff, bring QB, your most accurate club with the best ball guide, so that you can pinpoint lay it in that same spot every stinking time. And so your second shot is going to be very consistent. And for consistency on a par 4, when we have to shoot up to the cup, this spot right here could be beautiful if you can get to that spot every time. But this spot, I think you can get to every single time, and it's not that hard of a deal. So I'm going to take my number 2 bag, and I don't think we have to bring anything special. So I'm going to bring a katana just in case I need spin, which I don't think I do. And I'm going to bring my number 2 bag. And what would my options be? Like, what are the difference here? So topspin wise, I got 80 topspin with a Hornet versus 42 with a Kingfisher. So if you were going to take that shot with a short iron, a Hornet would be a lot better than the Kingfisher. So just in case I get greedy, I will swap this out. And your other choice is a runner. Now if you've got upper, let's see, what's a claw? Claw's got 73. And I will tell you, a claw is a great club. I used a claw for a long time. It's a very, I switched to the Hornet when I got like level 5 in that range, and I switched from my claw. But the claw is kind of like the sniper. It's kind of like the Saturn. It's a great utility club. If you can't get it done with the claw or the Saturn, I mean, those clubs they've got backspin, they've got topspin, they've got curl, you got a lot of stuff, a lot of tools, lots of tools. All right, here we go. And we'll see if that's enough of a club. Let's go back and get one of those chests started. I got nothing in my club card trading today. I think there was a Castaway and a freaking Boomerang. So putting money in the bank, putting them on the bank. I got over, I rolled over 7,000 today. 7,000 extra cards in my my razor. So eventually I'll run out of cards and everything else, and I'll have to max out the razor. Get me a few days. What is that? 7,000 divided by 30. That'll give me 233 days just in extra cards in my razor. And I think I still have about 100 days left of extra club cards and other clubs. So if you want to take a wood shot, that's the shot right there. And I'm pretty sure that's a wood. I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure, friends. Okay, what do I got? 1.5 topspin. I could probably put on a little bit more, but I want to see if it rolls down that hill. And I'm going to do at least 10% here, so I'm going to do 2.6. Hitting it perfect. El Perfecto. See if it rolls out down the hill or if it comes to a pretty good stop. I might be able to put on another 1/4 of a tick and get a little teeny bit. We'll see what where the red lines are. Where I'd like to be is right at max club with a little bit of room so that if we had a headwind, I could still work the wind out. We shall see. Maybe. Maybe. See where my red line's at. Whew, I got plenty of room. Yeah, I'm eking towards mid. That was not good. There we go. So I'm going to do just the 3-4 because I'm at mid club. If I can get lined up. That is 3-4. Hitting it perfect. Barely enough distance, but I took out just a little too much wind. Three, 4, if I would have done straight up, I added on 10%. So if I would have did straight up, it would have been 3.1. That is the difference. It's good stuff to know. I'll have to go back and look at that too. I will tell you that on the par 4 that we just played, if you're 2 rings into the rough, not this one, but the one before, if you're 2 rings into the rough when you're doing that rough bump, it's not nearly as consistent as if you're 1 ring into the rough. And this might be the same thing. I'll have to go back and watch the video and see how many rings, because normally I like to set stuff up where I'm a couple rings, and when I do those rough bumps, I like being a couple rings into the rough. But on some of these holes, it's better if you're 1 ring into the rough. It'll roll out a little bit truer. And that ball was breaking just a little bit at the end. Just a little. I can live with it though. I can. I like our odds on a lot of these holes, but that hole, no luck. Let's go look at that. Hole number 4. Hole number 4. All right. All right. I know for the new pin placement, it's much better to hit over here because there is a rough bump that you can do. But I think in this particular pin placement, the original pin placement, I'm not sure if that rough bump is as good a shot. Like if you have as good a shot over there. And if you're hitting from distance back here, you do not want to have to use this island. You want to be able to get your second bounce. I'm not sure. You want to get your second bounce so that you're over here on this side. But you can get up here in the front so that you can do the rough bump. And I think the new pin placement's kind of like right there. So if you're coming at it from this direction, you really don't have a shot at it. But there's a great T rough bump that you can do from over here. But I think the original pin placement, this rough bump, it's kind of where the rough is over here and the pin's over here. So you're having to bring it around and you're on the edge of the rough. It's not that perfect T where you're going this way. You can try and bounce off this island with a bigger ball and try and get some forward distance. There is another way. With the new pin placement, there's actually another way you can play it. Instead of trying to go out here, what you can do is do a rough bump onto this island and just try and get up on this island, and then you've got a perfect T rough bump. From over here with a 3 power ball, our red line somewhere in this neighborhood, and we're having to negotiate around this little peninsula where the sand comes out. So if we're red lines here, if we're here and our red line is in this range, if we do distance wise to the cup, you are definitely inside if you can get up in this area. So you could probably, even with the original pin placement, do a rough bump off of this tip. But you'd want to make sure that your wood definitely has some topspin. So this is probably sniper range. Probably you could bring out a cat, you could bring out a big dog, something that's got topspin. Trying to think here. Traditionally, I've always played it over here because this is, you've got plenty of room. So if you end up a little bit short or you're using a lower powered ball, you've got room to run and you don't have any obstructions in your way. You can get up close so that you can get on. If you're not already on, you can chip on. But if you commit to going out into one of these areas, now you're committed. Now over here you do have some options. You can come around if the rough bump's not quite your cup of tea, but if you hit out into this area, you're pretty well committed to doing the rough bump. It's not that you still couldn't get up there, but your number one shot right there would be the rough bump. Let's think, how aggressive do we want to get? I'm going to take a 3 power ball, no matter what. I might just take what I got. You can take this with a rock. If you're going to try and get out to that island, you're going to need a bigger club, though. You might need a bigger ball. Yeah, I am going to need a bigger ball than that. The Titan, the king of balls. That's right. If you can't get it done with the Titan, you just can't get it done. All right. It seems to me that I was doing a +10 on the drive. It seems to me. Yeah, you can get out there. Do I want to risk that rough bump? Man, that's a skinny ass rough bump too. Or do I just want to lay it up and get up there? I suppose if we're really going for it, we need to do that rough bump. Four one. A little bit of curl to bring it back over into the hole. Hitting it perfect. Oh, I caught the slide. Now I am. There is a word for what I am right now. I am screwed. Now I made a cup of coffee. The question is, where did I put it? I got a box from UPS today and it looked like they ran it over with a forklift. Which I know they didn't, because, and the guy's like, open it up and see how bad it is and we'll take it back. And I was like, nah, there's metal pieces in it. Unless you ran it over with the forklift, it's probably all right. I think it got crushed underneath of a pallet. Now my opponent's going to that side. You can get closer on that side too. You bring in a bigger ball. All right. All right. Wow, I can get up there. Look at that. I still got a shot at it. Not a good shot, but I got a shot at it. See, if I wanted to get greedy, I'd go over here and do this type of deal. You're really taking some risks when you get that close to the rough. Three one. I'm at max club. There is 3. One ring great to the right, which makes me happy that I pulled it back away from that sand. I moved it over, so that's the deal. As a great to the right was the shot that I really wanted to take. A perfect would just get me up there, and a great to the left would just get me up there. But I did not intentionally want to hit that great to the right, I can tell you that. You know, the deal is I played this hole so many times. This hole used to be in Tour 7, and I played it so many times from the back tee. But it's on the shot going over that my opponent took. And I have this impression that it's a long... But they went all the way over to that spot, and then they didn't actually try and take the rough bump. It was a lot of effort for that. I think I'm going to go back and play this hole. I'm going to practice this hole one time. I'm going to practice this hole one time, and I'm going to go to the island. And I want to see what that looks like, what it looks like. I tried to get greedy on that drive, but I hit those freaking moguls up there and got the scoot. Dude, that was close. Close. Let's see if I have any practice tokens. I think I do. I think I do. That was hole number 4. Hole number 4. Let's go. I'm going to practice that one time. Let's see if I have any practice tokens. If I have a practice token, I'm going to practice it. I'll play it once. I'm going to play from that island because I want to see what the rough bump looks like there. Hole number 4. Practice. 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 I think I can easily do that with the driver that I have, my rock. I went brain dead there for a second. I was like, what club is that? What club is it? If I can get an opponent. There's an opponent. Greenster. Welcome to the channel. Greenster goes first. And really, I think if you're going to hit it out into that area out there, if you bring out a bigger power ball, you can start off on the other side and you don't have to overpower it. And when you put on side spin, you hardly have to curl it. You can put side spin on there and bounce over that sand, and you can get way up there in the front. Let's see what the island has in store for us. I might actually just be able to start off on the island and backspin it if I have enough juice to do it. I'm just going to try and stick it on the island just so I can see what the rough bump looks like. I'm going to just pull it all the way back to the red line. That's definitely 3-1. Hitting it perfect. Just stick it on the island and see if there is a rough bump. I know the new pin placement, there is a, you have, I mean really, if you want to go for it, you got to do the rough bump. But I've never really tried the rough bump on the old pin placement. We'll see what club I'm in. I think I'm still going to be on my wood, but I might be in long iron. I might be like right there at the, no, that's got to be wood. It's got to be. All right. Man, that is thin. I mean thin. .1 rings. And it would help if I grabbed the rings and not the freaking course. Oh, and then I hit it great. But there is a rough bump from right there. A thin one. For you rough bump enthusiasts, that's definitely probably the easiest rough bump that you'll do there. And with the old pin placement, I think that angle, that's a perfect T rough bump. The way that my opponent went, even if you get way up there in the front, you're almost, the farther up you get, you're almost taking yourself out of the rough bump. You got to bring it around more, and you're on the side, you're on the I rough bump instead of the T. All right, I'm undecided. That shot right there seems a little dangerous, but that, I think if you're really going for hole in one, that might be the way to go. Or not hole in one, but the eagle. I've hit eagles on this, but this isn't what I would consider a high percentage eagle par 4, although you can get eagles on it. Let's get out of the practice. Let's get back into the tournament. Hole number 5. All right, what are we doing? Okay, hole number 5. Hole number 5. I'm taking a Titan. This is a hole that we can go for hole in one. I'm taking my number 1 bag. I think this is Nahamie Cliffs. Sakura Hills, Nahamie Cliffs. We definitely have a shot at hole in one here. Faux show. Five, 9. Probably need to plug my phone in before it dies, since it's my calculator. Hey, quit showing me that. Pull back a little from the red line so I can work the wind out. Damn. .19. Can I get where I can see my rings? Maybe. Puts me a little teeny bit into power. Hitting it perfect. I don't know if that's enough to get me up there. I may need to bring out a bigger power ball just to get up there. Yep. So I need to bring out like a 4 or a 5. A 5 power ball for sure will get you up there. I was just kind of seeing if I could get away with using power 3 balls on everything. I still like my odds from where I'm at. There's 3 of these par 4s that I'm not saying are gimmies, but you got to get them. You got to get hole number 1. You got to get this one. In the hole. That works. Eagle. Let's see if I can get the eagle. There's Max. I'm about mid-club. Got 1.3 rings. Hitting it perfect. In the hole. So I was at mid rapier. When I ran the topspin out. So if you wanted to put a little bit of backspin and stay up there towards the club, you'd be at max. But if anytime I can run the topspin out on it, and so my mid club is 2.4 per ring. And that was 1.29 rings, 1.3. There you have it. And usually for me, and this is why I'm going back and I'm looking at the spots, because I was gone for a month. I got to get some trust back in my deal. But like, here's the hole, and here's the flagpole. And then with my rapier, if here's max, here's mid, and if I'm inside of mid, if I'm anywhere where I'm inside of mid club, I'm from mid to minimum, which is right in front of you. I think of the hole as being 4 miles per hour. And so it's 2 on this side and 2 on this side. But if I'm right at mid, it's 2 miles per hour. So like in that situation right there with a 3.1, I was slightly off the cup on the outside. But usually if I'm between mid and minimum, I don't ever want to move outside of the club, the hole, unless the wind, in rookie, you hardly ever have to move outside of the hole. If you're playing in upper divisions where the wind's higher, you may. All right. I can't remember this hole based off that picture. I can't. I think this is the one we just played. Hole number 6. All right. I saw somebody the other day that was playing over to here, and really, in my opinion, if you're playing over to here, like, you may be able to do some kind of a bump through this rough and end up out in this area, but you're still short iron, max wedge to the cup. There are several ways that you can play it. You can just lay it up right here. And one-on-one, this isn't a bad shot. You can lay it up right here, and then you can do a perfect rough bump right off of that tee, as long as you'll have to play it once to make sure that you're not getting in a red line issue, but you got a perfect rough bump right here. You can lay it up out into this area, and you can come at it either straight at it, or you can use the rough, or you can just try and get on a 1, and I'm going to try and get on a 1. Let's see which way the wind's blowing. The wind is helping us. So I'm going to bring out, and I'm not absolutely sure that you need to bring out a power 5 ball, but I'm going to bring one out anyways, just for safety. Just for safety. And with that wind, I could probably get it done with a power 4 ball. And a 4-4-4 might actually help me because it's got more side spin, and we want to bring it back around to the left. Let's see if I go first. My opponent goes first. Let's see which way they're going. Why is everybody hitting it over there? This is like the 3rd opponent that I've ran into that's hit it over to that side, and it's like, of all the ways that you could hit it. Now, I will say that the other 2 layup shots that are on the right-hand side, you are getting deeper into a club here, so you're probably in long iron, and on the other side you might be in a wood, or you might be max long iron on the right and short iron on this side. And the other 2 opponents that I saw do this ended up in the rough, so I couldn't really tell what their shot was. We definitely don't want that to happen. I actually think I can take this with a power 4 ball, and then I can run all the top spin. And take that wind out. I'm actually going to take a little more than all of the wind out. Hitting it perfect. Hit the rough. Woo! Missed it. Even taking all the wind out, I still missed it. Even taking more than the wind out. I took out like, that was at least 10, 15, maybe eking towards 20. Still took out, not enough. I played with a Saturn for a long time. The only reason I switched to a Grizzly is when they did the club card trading. For those of you who haven't been around forever, the week before they did the club card trading, they did a buff. They buffed a bunch of clubs, and they completely redesigned the Grizzly, because the Grizzly used to be the only club. I mean, there are other clubs that people use as doorstops, but like the Grizzly was like, people didn't even use it as a doorstop. It didn't work. It was that shitty. And I'm not necessarily sure that I've had much more success with it than I had with my Saturn, but I played with a Saturn for a long time. And I liked it. All right, I'm going to hedge my bet. And I'm going to go right there on the edge. And maybe if I hit a great to the right or a perfect, it'll go in. Hitting it perfect. In the hole. And it moved it over. The wind moved it over. I was on the edge, and I was still on the left-hand edge of that cup. So if I'd hit it great to the right, there's that shot that it would have went in. Right on the other edge. Very close. Would have been very close. All right. What do we got? Continue. Hole number 7. I like this hole too. I like it. Let's go look at it. Now, the other day, this hole scares the crap out of me every time I play it, because when you're over here, like earlier, I scooted and the ball like ran for a mile, and you can tell on this hole. Hold on. You can tell on this hole. Let me get. Hold on again. Let me zoom into this area. All of these little pockets that you see are like this. They're out like this on the fairway, and so it undulates and then it goes into a pocket. And so if you hit, your ball comes flying in here and you hit, then it takes a bounce. Okay, and it kind of acts normally. But if your ball comes in here and hits like this, and hits on the downhill, when it hits, it's as soon as it hits, it slides, because it's the terrain is going with the ball, so the ball will slide and it won't bounce up. And what it'll do is it will just continue to slide, and it goes a billion miles an hour, and you'll go off the end. And it's easy to get off the end, but it's also easy for you to get that and your heart stops, and then it comes to a stop and it rolls off. There's a little lip that goes around this, and when it gets to that lip, it's kind of flat, and then when it gets to that lip, it does roll down towards the rough. Not quite that steep, but it rolls down towards the rough. And you can get the scoot, and it'll look like it's going to fly off, and then it will come to a stop. But it is kind of a scary moment. And where I was at the other day was I was kind of like in this area, and with a 3-power ball at my sniper, I was a little bit short of this area. So in one-on-one play back in the day when I first started playing, I always played this hole with a Guardian, because the Guardian gave me the extra distance that I was looking for. And I had options with it. If I got too far into my red line, I could actually backspin it. Let me think here. I'm gonna play this with a Guardian. What the hell? What the heck? I'm gonna play with. I'm gonna set up a utility bag, just a bag with some stuff. Play with my Guardian. My Guardian. I'm going to play with a Titan, the king of balls. Let me look at that one more time. that the right hole? All right. All right. Hole number 7. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. So my wife is liking having me back because I do all the cooking. And so I have been every day. I made quiche yesterday. I cooked for my family this weekend, and I made homemade biscuits, and I made, while I had all the stuff out, I went ahead and made quiche dough and froze it. And I only used a little bit of topspin the other day, but I'm going to use, like, let's see, what does that look like? I'm going to use just slightly less than 4. 2, 3. There's 2, 1. I'm going to do a little extra. Hitting it perfect. And I still didn't get the right distance. Still need to do a little teeny bit more. I think that was 4 topspin, and I probably should have. I'll tell you what I'm gonna do next time is I'm gonna put on too much topspin and see what's too much. But I am farther down in there than I was the other day. And it's 1.1 per ring, and I should be adding on 10%, so those balance each other out. So I'm going to make a wind adjustment that's exactly whatever the wind is. My opponent is in what I would consider the perfect spot. And I got good distance there. That's not bad. .2. There's 3, 2. Hitting it perfect. Get in the hole. A little short. That was right at it though. Right at it. Now, it would have been a nice shot if it had went in. Get in the hole. Now, this is the deal is, can you play this with a lower power ball? Yes, but if you want to do that rough bump without doing any overpower, you have to bring out a bigger ball or you're going to have a red line issue. Even if you brought out a big dog or something in that situation with a lower power ball, you might be able to get away with it with a 2 power ball if you were as deep as my opponent, but these types of holes, why would you... My opponent is in what I would consider a really good spot down there, and they brought the wrong ball. Normally, when I prep for tournaments, like that's the whole deal. Is day number 1 is just trying to figure out what ball and what clubs you're going to bring, and where your red lines are at, and what you're going to do, and then start as the week goes on. I obviously don't play as serious as I used to, where I would spend 40 hours a week playing. It was a second job. It was a second job. Hole number 8. All right, what is hole number 8? My puppies are like, why are you not letting us out? Now, I was actually trying to do, I'm going to go for it on this. I'm going to see if I can get up there with an APOC, a Power 5 ball. I'm trying. So I tried to do a max overpower hook, and I think there is a max overpower hook you can do here, but there is a tree that's out in this area that's like right on the line, Buster, to do it. But I think with a Power 5 ball and an APOC, you can get up into this zone, and with curl, trying to bring it around and just try and shoot the gap to get up into this area. If not, even just getting down in here, you're in short iron versus long iron right here. There is a long iron shot that you can take from right here, and it's super easy to get into that spot, and it's super consistent. But since I'm practicing here, I'm gonna go for it. Why not? Why not? What are my Power 5 options? Probably not much. Let's take that. And let's take my number 5 bag. See which way the wind's blowing. The wind's helping. Disturbed. You ever see? It costs like, I don't know how much. Like, I live in the States, and it's like $250 a year to get a custom license plate. And it always cracks me up. You see people with custom license plates, and they have some shit on there, and you're like, what does that mean? So you come up with something, and I've had that happen where you're like stuck in traffic and you roll the window down and you yell at them and go, hey man, I'm trying to figure out what your custom license plate, we were guessing that it means blah blah, and then they, you know, sometimes they get pissed because you're just making fun of it. Like, they pay $250 for something that nobody can understand. So they're the only ones that get it. And it only costs them a mere $250 a year to maintain it. Yeah. Sign me up. Dumbasses. All right, I'm going to leave the wind in and go for a max. Hitting it perfect. See that tree out there? Try a max overpower hook, and that tree's like right dead in the way. Now, if I remember correctly, this is a short iron shot. It might actually, that might have put me up into wedge. And that is definitely a risky ass shot. But you can recover from anywhere down there, so it's not like a, if you miss it, it's the end of the world. There isn't really an OB area down there, an out of bounds area. I had this shot the other day, and I just barely missed it. Was not happy about it. So let's see if we can make it this time. Maybe. Hey, calculator. What club am I in? I'm in my Kingfisher. There's max. There's min. So I'm at min Kingfisher, which is 2.1 per ring. So 5.1. 2.42. See if I can make it. Isn't it perfect? That was just a straight up wind adjustment. I didn't make anything, and I should have taken off a little bit of wind. Excellent. Excellent. All right, that's 2 times I've had the perfect shot with my Kingfisher and overdid it. I would say it theoretically, the way that this game is supposed to work is that is an uphill shot, so I should be taking wind off. So I should have took off about 10%. Let's see what I did. So it's 5.1, and it should have been 5.1 times 0.9. Then divided by 2.1 would have been 2.18 rings. instead of 2.4, and that's about right. That is about right. Hole number 9. What is hole number 9? All right, so the last few times we played this, okay, like all of the shots, you can lay it up out here and go at it. You can try and go at the green. You can, if you bring out a big enough ball, you can get in this area and you can try and bring it around so you get a bounce by the sand and try and bring it through the throat so that you're right here on the edge and try and do that. I have not had consistent luck. And every single time I've actually tried to go for it, where I'm going from here and I'm trying to get a bounce in this area and I'm trying to get through, and a lot of times you're clipping this rough and just bleeding out and you end up right here, I've ended up in the sand. I don't know that I may have made it out once, but like everything that's ever stuck in my memory is I'm in the sand. And it's not that you can't make that shot, you just have to hit it perfect and you're up close, and so it's not that big of a deal. But like consistency wise, being in the fairway and doing the shot, I've made this a lot more times from the fairway than I have from the sand. So you can do the layup shot out here. And I'm not so sure, like, if you hit it all the way to the end, I'm not sure that you actually gain anything than if you're just like right out here in the middle. Because if you're in the middle, you can go right up through the throat and it seems pretty clear. And from here, you still got a shot, but I'm not so sure that you need to get the distance. So if you're laying it up over here, like try it where you're in the middle and you've got a straight up shot through the throat and then trying to hit it all the way up and see, because distance wise, we're still in the same arc. So I don't know that you're gaining any more on the hole. But if you're trying to run it up in there, this stuff, like, because you have to start over here, whereas the other way, you're still going to start on the green. But I don't know that it makes a difference to try and get all the way up to the tip. But I see a lot of people overshoot it. And my point there is that if your shot from here is just as good, why press your luck and ever risk ever getting into the rough? The other way you can do it is, depending on which way the wind is blowing, especially if you got a headwind, you can bring out a bigger power ball and you can hit off this, or you can do overpower and hit off this where you're hitting here and you're just trying to make it over. I've been demoing, and the last time this was in a tournament, just showing that what you can do is, and you don't have to bring out a bigger power ball. I think you can do it with a katana. It works better, I think, with a Titan, because then it doesn't really matter what the wind is. But you can start off right in this area. And what we can do is, if you're in this area and you give yourself a couple rings of separation, you're facing off like this. Okay? And you put on side spin, and you're still going to be like through the trees. You're going to be like in this area right here. So if you put on a little teeny bit of curl, you can clip this rough and just bleed right out here in front. And you can do it even with a lower power ball. You don't have to bring out something special in order to hit here. Because if we have tailwind, it's easy to hit here. But if we don't have tailwind, then you're either going to bring out a bigger power ball that you may or may not have in your inventory. But from this spot, you can do it every time. It doesn't matter which way the wind's blowing. You just take the wind out. But from this spot, you need to hit it perfect. And you're going to have to put some curl on it. And if you over curl it, you'll clip right here, and you're more than likely, because of the angle that you're coming in, you're going to end up in the sand. Or if you hit it great to the right, you may get stuck in this rough because you got to go, because it's on this angle, and so you may end up getting caught up in the rough right here. But consistency wise, it is a pretty easy shot to do. Let me see if I can do it with a, let's first let's see which way the wind's blowing. Okay, we got wind going with us. I'm going to bring out a Titan. I'm going to bring out a katana. And I think it's probably easier with a Kingmaker. We probably should just bring a Kingmaker. And for the side spin. Let's see if we can do it with a katana. I may be able to do it with a katana. What we don't want to have happen is have to pick a ball out on the freaking course. I know that the ball sorting has been out for a while, but I still think the ball sorting blows. That's just my opinion. And I did shoot a video on it. You can look you can look through my my catalog, and I did shoot a video on the ball sorting, what I think about I did the Monty Python Holy Hand Grenade routine with the ball sorting. All right, get on it, Jobu. For those of you that are Major League fans, that's in the rough, in the sand. Two, 6. That's pretty close to 3. I'm going to put some curl on to bring it back to the fairway. Bring it back to the rough that I'm trying to hit, so I won't hit the tree, but I think I actually over curled it right there. Come on! Here we go. Perfect. I was trying to remember, if I aim straight at the tree or on the left-hand edge of that tree and you put on max curl with an extra mile, that's the spot. But if you hit it great to the right, or excuse me, great to the left, you're going to miss the rough. And you may be able to make it past this, but more than likely you're going to end up in the sand. And if you hit it great to the right, you have to go through the rough longer. There's still a chance on a great to the right that it'll pop out of the rough and you'll be in front. But there's also the chance that you'll get caught. Hit it great to the right. All right, here we go. Here we go. Let's get this. Let's get this. 2.7. Man, the wind's going with me too. So this all boils down to hitting it perfect. Hitting it perfect. Get in the hole. Ooh, barely. It seems to me that we always did like a plus 10% coming into this cup. All right, there we go. There we have it. Is that really only a minus 13? I thought I picked up some. Well, I forget. If we were playing a regular course, we were picking up the eagles on the par 5s. So theoretically, this would be a 9. Theoretically, we would just get, this is eagle holes with birdie opportunities. So if we were playing minimum score, we would come in with a 9. So having picked up 4 because we don't have the par 5s on there to get us up to 12. But I think hole number 1 and either, I think it might be 5 or 6, one of these holes in here, we absolutely have to get those 2 holes. So that puts us at minus 11. And we've got, every hole's got an opportunity. We can put ourselves in the right spot on every hole to do it. There's a couple of the holes that I'm still trying to figure out how I want to play them in this tournament. Hole number 1, I was trying to get a little greedy today, but I'm probably just going to lay it up right here in front. And hole number 2, I'm definitely going for the shot that I did there where I come over by the shadows and doing that rough bump. This hole right here, I do think that I'm going to just lay it up out here in front. And I want to go back and watch that video because it didn't seem like I was towards minimum club. So if I laid it up, if I hit any farther forward, then I'm going to be in an in-between club thing, because this is definitely short iron and this is definitely long iron. So if I get kind of closer to that sand up here, I might actually get into an in-between club deal if I'm using a 3-power ball. So I might actually drop down to a katana, because it seemed like I was pretty close to minimum club. But this hole, I'm still kind of on the fence about of how I'm going to play it. You can get aggressive with it and get up there in your short iron, but you got to bring a short iron Scott topspin. This hole, after taking that practice shot and coming off the island, that is definitely a way to go at it. But that little sliver, that is the strap on a thong. That rough bump, it is narrow. From over here, you've got a great shot, pretty easy. Even if you ended up in the rough, you can still recover. If you end up here in the rough or the sand, you can still recover. So, but if you go for that rough bump and miss that rough, you are going for a ride. And you definitely do not want to drop any shots on any of these holes. I don't think this area over here, this area works for the new pin placement, but this area right here for the old pin placement is not, in my opinion, the best way to go at this hole. These two are definitely better. Hole number 5. Yeah, that's a straight up shot. We actually have a hole-in-one shot there. If you bring out a bigger power ball so that you can get some run at it, we've got a hole-in-one shot there for sure. That's probably the best shot we have at hole-in-one. This hole right here, it's the same thing. Getting over to this side, bringing out a big enough ball. Now, if we've got a headwind, it's going to be a little more problematic. But if you got a Power 5 topspin boost ball, it's possible to still get over there. And even the shot from the rough over here is not the end of the world. But I would rather take my chances of getting over to the green side over here and having this shot to get up than laying it up out here, personally. Hole number 7. I got both holes at the same time. Yeah, and I like our chances on that hole as well. And I might bring exactly what I brought there. I don't mind the Guardian. It gives me a little bit more forward distance. So if you hit a little short, you still have room. Hole number 8. And I think on this hole, I've been in the perfect spot where I've tried to do that bring around. I did it once with a max overpower hook, and I did it with just the max curl right there, and I think the max curl one was safer. But getting up into this zone and having a short iron up to the cup is better than a long iron. Although it's super easy to get into this area and you can consistently be in the same spot, so your second shot is consistent. It's over and over and over, whereas when you come out here, it'll be a little inconsistent. One time you might be a little bit farther forward and a little bit further back, and so your second shot's going to be a little different. And hole number 9. Yep, and I'm going to play that hole exactly like I played it as well. All right, that was the City Outskirts. That was the qualifying round in the rookie division. That was I'm going to count that as my practice round. I'm going to try and get a hold of Dunner, and I don't know if we can play around tonight, but if we can't, hopefully we can play around tomorrow and get our second accounts in and get on it. So everybody have fun, stay safe, and hopefully everybody has a great round. Thanks for watching.